I have spent a large portion of my adult life dealing with people in trial settings, court settings, interview settings, question and answer settings, taking the stand settings, both in court and in real life. And not everything's a courtroom, but just in real life. And what I found almost invariably is that people will get themselves into positions because they don't anticipate what is being said, what is being asked, and the consequences of what happens if they are lying. Lying is a very interesting phrase. It's a very interesting term. What we say on the street, lying, may not necessarily apply to what a lie is in terms of the law. A lie, in one particular case, I'll never forget this. It was a great depiction. It says a lie is the misrepresentation of fact with the intent to deceive. So there's a specific intent element of deception involved. Perjury is a different story. That could be two inconsistent statements made under oath. It could involve also a lie or a mendacity or a misrepresentation as to a material issue in fact. So we can get into all kinds of definitions and nuances, but the bottom line is simply this. Rule number one, ask yourself, why am I volunteering for an interview? That's number one. In this particular case, this is the second time he has stepped into it, and I'll show you why. Number two is if you're being questioned, if you have to take the stand, if you volunteer to take the stand, you must know what to do if anything is presented to you. It's almost like preparing a kata, as they do in martial arts. You need an aggressive preparer to sit you down and say, let's go through this. Let me throw some of the questions at you that you are most certainly going to get so that you don't look flat-footed. Make sure you know what your answers are going to be. Make sure in advance you know what you're going to discuss. Now, let's go right into it. First, the interrogator, this Kaitlan Collins, absolutely, positively, by her very nature, intimidating. People don't understand that. She's intimidating. There are some people who, and I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be in any way rude, but she is intimidating. She does not in any way come across as nice. She doesn't lull you in. And that's good because that should make you on your, on your toes. And again, why he's even doing this interview, God only knows. This is his second one, and he faces a heap of problems. So look at her. Notice the eyebrow. There is nothing at all nice or warm about her. If Katie Couric interviewed you, or if Kelly Clarkson or somebody, that's a different story. So right off the bat, old Nathan here's got to realize this is your Torquemada. This is your interrogatrix. This is the one who's going to be asking you the questions. Let's jump in, shall we? Let's look at this case and see what she says.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Now, right off the bat, you knew, he knew, and I'm please don't be upset if I interrupt, but I've got to tell you this. He knew this was coming. This was the gravamen. This was the essence of the interview. What is his current connection? Are you employed with the Fulton County DA? Yeah. We're colleagues. Boom. Answer the question. If you have to answer it, boom. Don't extrapolate. Don't go into detail. Just answer the question. We're colleagues. Boom. Make Kaitlan work for her money.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Just as outlined earlier, we are great friends. We speak regularly. The conversation has changed, though, whereas before our conversations were about this case. I'm sure you could imagine and appreciate the amount of time that it takes that you have to pour into a case a case of this magnitude, trying to prosecute those defendants. But our conversations have shifted to how are you handling the threats that are coming your way? Are you...
Stop right there. Stop. This is called logolalia, or word salad, which is a term frequently exhibited or seen by schizophrenics, or logorrhea, where you like diarrhea, where you cannot stop. You're just, hi, how are you? How you feeling? How are you handling the threats? The threats. Again, what is the purpose of this conversation? Don't know why. Why are you doing this interview? Don't know why. What are you trying to, what are you, other than loving the limelight, what are you trying to gain from this? How will this help Fani Willis? And how will this ultimately help or hurt the prosecution of Donald Trump, which is the biggest case of them all, of the four? This is racketeering.
Case a case of this magnitude, trying to prosecute those defendants, but our conversations have shifted to how are you handling the threats that are coming your way? Are you being safe? And democracy, the case will live on, kind of thing.
BS. What does that sound like? Somebody whose heart's broken, seeing his old girlfriend. How are you doing? Fine. I miss you. I imagine somebody, just some kind of a love beat. How you doing, baby? I'm okay. Yeah, you all right? I'm doing all right. Sheer, utter balderdash, and immediately nobody's believing this.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Now this is it. This is why you don't do the interview in the first place, and this is what will get him in trouble on so many levels: perjury, contempt of court, and in his own divorce proceedings, which he may have, and we're not as familiar with all the facts, he may have lied innumerably. He may have lied on interrogatories, on pleadings when it began, because remember, in divorce cases, and I'm not familiar with Georgia law, I think it's probably a no-fault state, but accusations of adultery are the death knell of any claims of walking away short of bankruptcy. It changes everything. If you went from a husband and wife whose marriage is irretrievably broken or irreconcilable differences to this philandering husband while his wife, I believe Joycelyn, was ill, again, he's opening himself up to perjury, obstruction of justice, perhaps, maybe, and that's a related case. But in this particular case, but both in the civil case and in the criminal case. And what all of this means, and this is important, keep in mind, this is important because he can lose his ticket, his license, suspension, disbarment. And by the way, when I talk about obstruction of justice, remember old Mr. Bradley later, before, when both Fani and he picked up the phone and basically told Bradley, the confused, reluctant, volunteering witness, better watch what you're saying. They're after us. You know what I mean? That's witness intimidation. I don't want to muddy the works. But this fellow, just so that you understand, he shouldn't be talking to anybody about anything.
Yeah, so, we get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are, I'm getting sick.
Stop for a second. They are, let me stop right now, and then we'll pick this up. They are at issue. This man, I don't want to keep using the word. I don't know if I've used it so far, but I'll start now and then stop. He's an idiot. He doesn't understand. He's a child. He is someone, I believe, who would much rather be concerned with the cut of his suit, the monogram on his cuff, which, anyway, and not even a monogram. I think he had his name, but that's beside the point. He's more concerned with that than how he is stepping into a minefield. Let me say something very quickly. Remember, and listen to me very carefully, and we'll get back to this, but it's important that you grasp all of these time frames. This is really, really critical. The time frames are important because of what was testified to in court. And this is the issue, okay? I remember, when did this occur? When did this occur? Ashley Merchant, representing Michael Roman, said that this relationship began as early as 2019. Okay? Keep in mind, 2019. Now, Nathan Wade was hired by Fani to lead the investigation in November 1st of 2021, one day before he filed for divorce. And don't forget, Mr. Bradley was his lawyer, okay? He testified that the tryst, the love affair with, whatever you want to call it, with Fani started around March of 2022. Okay, so maybe what, 4 months later? No, yeah, about 4 months later, so roughly. Okay, 2019, the relationship started, according to Ashley Merchant. 2021, he's hired. He says around March of 2022. Fani told Scott McAfee, the judge, that it began between February and April, okay, of that year. Okay, fine. Neither has provided a date when things began, okay? It's also very important. Mr. Wade claims that things ended in July of 2023. Fani maintains they broke up in August of that year. Okay. President Trump was indicted by Georgia special grand jury in August of 2023. Now, does that matter? Do these dates matter? Yes. Yes. Because you're in court. They have become an issue. They might have been collateral at first, but they are very much in issue now. They are in issue now. And before we get back to this, I promise, but understand something. Had Fani Willis merely said, yeah, I had a relationship with him then, I have one now, and I appointed him as my special DA because he's my boyfriend and I can appoint anybody I want. That would not have been conflict of interest because she has no stake in the case. Why it's important now is they've committed perjury on multiple accounts and perhaps obstruction of justice, which I explain later. And both of them look to the collapse of this total case, the biggest one in their career and in the history of American jurisprudence as to criminal matters. If you think about this, charging a former president with racketeering. And it also bodes absolute ill for Mr. Wade in his divorce. Okay, I've said enough, I promise. Now, as he's speaking and as he's attempting to answer the question that everybody knew would be asked and that you think he would be able to say, as you can understand, Kaitlan, I can't discuss the specifics of the time frame as there was pending matters as to that particular issue. Boom, that's it. And by the way, if you can't answer that, why are you even on there? But that's not what he said, because he's enjoying the life. He's enjoying this. I'm a star. I'm enjoying it. I am. This is my second time. They know who I am. Imagine him walking around in Fulton County. Hey, is that Nathan Wade? Yeah. Isn't that the one? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, his media consultant, translation, his brother-in-law, a guy he's known since grade school, some self-styled media, the Edward Bernays of his particular retinue, he now is listening to this and wants to take an interruption, a break during the interview, which is going to be caught. Watch in horror.
That okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates.
See his eyes.
I'm getting.
Watch
signaled here.
Yeah, you're getting signal all right. Huh? Get over here. Get over here. Sure.
Yeah, same here. You want to go off mic for a second?
Yes.
Okay.
You go off mic. Just turn the mic off. It's got a lavalier. Turn the battery off.
Keep rolling. Don't stop down there.
Now look at this. How stupid does this look? What are they talking about? What are they praying? This is his media consultant with his team. He's meeting with his team. There's no team. I bet you it's a guy he's known his whole life. It's Eddie or somebody. because he's a jadrole. Kate, look at Caitlin. She says, this is fantastic. Now we pick up. Now watch
Everything
him.
okay?
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Just to revisit the question.
Just to revisit?
To clarify when the romantic relationship started.
Just to revisit, because I'm like a dog on a bone with this one. You're not getting away. You wanted this. Remember, as we said in the Jack Reacher, remember, Nathan, you wanted this.
And when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction.
No, stop. Now he's belittling the importance of this. He's belittling the importance of a motion to recuse, excuse me, well, sort of, a motion to disqualify, an appeal that is pending, potential, and I say this, potential perjury, contempt of court, losing his bar license, and having his divorce judge tear up any agreement, any chances of settlement, and going for the throat, especially when they found out this guy made about $1 million for part-time work. You're seeing the self-imposed ruination and immolation of an idiot.
It is not a relevant issue in this case, and I think that we should be focusing on more of the facts and the indictment in the case.
Let's talk about this again.
Romantic relationship
Listen to this.
started and when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction. It is not a relevant issue in this case.
The prosecution of the president?
Focusing on more of the facts and the indictment in the case.
Well, I ask because obviously it's still a pending matter. It's going to be before the Court of Appeals. And you talked about how proud you were of all the work that you did in this office. And I think the question that people have when they hear from the Court of Appeals, this isn't happening until next spring, is did the relationship jeopardize that work that you did in this investigation?
And therein lies the issue. Why we wouldn't touch upon the work of the Court of Appeals or some higher court, because it's a pending issue before them. I think that we should allow them.
Nobody's asking. Do you hear what he just said? Nobody's asking to talk about
that work that
the
you
court
did in this
and the work of the court. What?
And therein lies the issue. Why we wouldn't touch upon the work of the Court of Appeals or some higher court, because it's a pending issue before
Nobody
them.
wants you to talk about the work.
Allow them, take a step back and allow them to.
You
take
volunteered
the
for
evidence
this.
that they have, and do their work, make the decision.
Right, but you did testify to this, and you were asked about, on the stand, about when it started and when it ended. It just wasn't completely clear, because before it said, before the indictment, which was August 15th here in Atlanta, and then later the answer was at the end of that year. And so I think that was the clarity that people were seeking of when it started and when it ended.
Sure, and there again, there's a question before the court. And that is the crux of the question. I don't choose to say or do anything that would jeopardize the case.
Why are you doing this interview? Why? Did you and your media team even ask yourself, just go away? Where are you going with this? What is the purpose?
Case or the court's ruling. I prefer to allow them to make their decision based upon what they have and accept it.
Do you believe, as you reflect on this, that your relationship with the district attorney was a mistake?
What does that mean? Was it a mistake? Not in your own personal life, lover boy. Remember, this is a fellow who was tracked on that cell phone, whatever that cell wolf, whatever the name of the program was, who was tracked on a booty call from like a midnight to 4 a.m. And he says, well, I don't know if that's same thing with Fani. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily dispositive of the issue here. I don't know how accurate this was. Schmuck, you use this same tracking device in criminal cases. You just opened up a post-conviction relief for newfound evidence where you and the district attorney basically said that many of the bases for people being indicted and investigated, you don't even have faith in. This guy has been in one lie after another. A quarter to midnight on one, was it, I think it was like on a September the 11th, don't hold me to it, but he gets in his car and he drives within like 100 feet of where Fani stays. Remember, she doesn't stay in her house anymore because she's worried about terrorism, people trying to kill her, but she leaves her old man there. He's okay. She's not worried about him. She's worried about her. So they have this little love shack, and he even has a garage door. Remember that? They had a garage door opener so we could just. I mean, this is at 4 in the morning, at 12 for 4 hours in the middle of the night. He just got up and went to an all night laundromat. I don't think so. What a schmuck!
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I believe is this whole conversation is a distraction. That's all. It's a tool to stop the train, to slow down the inevitable, which is the trial of the defendants named in the election interference case.
Do you believe the trial ultimately happens?
Absolutely. Absolutely it happens.
Not with you.
Mr. Wade, thank you for your time today.
Not with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Ooh, not with you. Not with you and Fani. Oh, no, what's going to happen? Guaranteed she's off the case. The Court of Appeals said, we'll take that case. Yeah, we'll take this. Yeah. We're going to stop everything until we decide it. Remember, all 4 criminal cases are pretty much disposed of right now. We've got the New York case that nobody can understand regarding Mershon. I don't know what that's about. You've got this Georgia case. You've got the Jack Smith documents catastrophe in Mar-a-Lago, and the J6 case, where the Supreme Court may or may not be at any time soon dealing with the issue of immunity. Bottom line is simply this. He used to go away and recess and just evaporate, go away. That's what he needs to do, but he can't because he loves the spotlight. He loves the fame. Do you know what this man must enjoy on a regular basis, walking around the streets of Fulton? Hey, is that? I'll bet you his own personal life has not exactly been hurt by virtue of this. I'll bet you anything. He's like, oh, that's Nathan Wade. Yeah, that's Nathan. And Fani Willis must be thinking, what are you doing? And I hope she's stupid enough to pick up the phone and call him and say, shut up. More witness intimidation, more obstruction of justice during pending investigation. There are so many. Remember, there are whistleblowers. This case is so much more complicated. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, if you find yourself in the position where you are asking, but believe me, he either asked to do this or they of course reached out, and you say to yourself, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I see to accomplish? What am I going to clarify? And how do I benefit? And how do I not sabotage the case? And am I intellectually equipped to handle all of the nuances? Do I really understand what to say and what not to say? This is the chief special investigator, the prosecutor. This was a special prosecutor in the biggest case against a former president, a racketeering case. This mumbling logorrheic, logolalic, moonbat benighted child who every time he answers a question, it's like he purses his lips like he's passing a hockey puck Bezoar. What do you think, my friends? What was your take? Did you believe anything from Mr. Wade? Can you tell me why he appeared other than the obvious? Right, my friends. Do me a favor now. Please subscribe to the channel. You know all this stuff like this. Yeah. And comment as you see fit.